Officials and their main political rivals have agreed to start the evacuation of civilians from the besieged city of Homs. The deal struck after 2 days of discussions mediated by the international envoy Lakhdar Brahimi at the Geneva II conference. For more on this, we're joined live by RT's Maria Finoshina, who is in the Syrian capital, Damascus. Hello, Maria. So how important is this first deal in terms of the whole peace process?
Well, yes, indeed. The Syrian government and Syrian opposition agreed on Sunday in Geneva to allow humanitarian aid into the besieged city of Homs in central Syria and the civilians outside the city. And we can expect this to happen as soon as on Monday. Homs has been seen to fierce clashes between Syrian army and the rebel forces for almost 2 years now. Last year, we visited the city and we saw a depressive picture. At least 2 districts were badly destroyed. In 2 others, there was shelling. Many residents fled, of course, but those who didn't have chance or time, they were trapped in the fight. And today, after all this time, of course, they face a severe shortage of food and medical supplies. And it's the 3rd largest city in Syria, and we're talking about thousands of people here. Mr. Brahimi, representing the UN and Arab League at Geneva II peace talks, also told press that women, children, as well as a number of adult male civilians confirmed as non-militants, and this is very important, will be evacuated from the city of Homs, but it's still not clear exactly how it will be organized, as the fight in the area still continues. And of course, it's clear that first there should be reached a local, at least, ceasefire to make all this happen. Of course, we can consider it as a serious achievement in the talks between the Syrian rival sides, the first dialogue they have in almost 3 years of devastating war, and a very positive one. But still a lot has to be done, as other areas here in Syria remain besieged. And even here in Damascus, the humanitarian situation is harsh. My colleague Igor Piskunov has been following the talks in Geneva, and his report.
Face one another and they talk to one another.
A format simply impossible to imagine even at the beginning of the week. Just 24 hours before the start of the conference, the opposition couldn't decide whether to go to Switzerland or not. And when they finally did arrive,
I think that Assad is the problem, and Assad, I don't think the problem will be any solution without Assad going from power, stepping down.
it became clear both sides had a completely different understanding of the talks' goals. The rebels pressed for Assad to step down. Officials seemed to be ready to talk about almost anything except the president's future. But at least outside players agreed this is strictly up to the Syrians to decide.
The Syrians themselves had the primary responsibility to end the conflict, determine their political system and future, and start rebuilding their country.
But when world powers left and direct talks were supposed to begin, the opposition refused to sit down at the same table with the other side.
We came here to talk, and they are not ready.
Finally, when it seemed the negotiations were a complete bust, Special Envoy to Syria Lakhdar Brahimi announced he did manage to get both sides to meet. And so they finally did, negotiating through him, but still in the same room and face to face. Prisoners and kidnappings, humanitarian aid and localized ceasefires were the first issues on the table, with more pressing topics awaiting discussion. Despite all the emotions, accusations and preconditions we've heard this week, these talks are the first real chance for a diplomatic solution in Syria. And after nearly 3 years of bloodshed and ongoing violence, it will be a bumpy road and there's a long way to go. But the first steps in the right direction have definitely been made. Igor Piskunov, RT, Geneva, Switzerland.